maybe put it in the chat if that's all right. Well, welcome everyone. I give a few more minutes for everybody to trickle in. Hope you're doing well here in North Carolina. We're having beautiful weather here. Hope you are, wherever you may be. We have an exciting session today. So again, welcome. My name is Lisa Reed. Um, I'm the Chief Learning Officer for the North Carolina Center for Nonprofits. And we also have Rebecca Beck, who's with us. Wave, Rebecca, who will be working with us, assisting us with chat and tech. And we both will be monitoring both through the session. So we're delighted to have you join us for Am I the Problem or Is It AI? I love that title. How Nonprofits Work Smarter, Not Harder with AI. This is going to be presented by Cherise Floyd, and Cherise is the founder and CEO of AI Consultants for Nonprofits, an AI agency dedicated to licensing accredited certifications for nonprofit leaders. Through AICN, Cherise licenses accredited curriculums to nonprofits, schools, and workforce organizations. But before I turn it over to Cherise today, a little brief info about the center for those of you who may not be familiar. Our mission is to educate and connect and advocate for North Carolina nonprofits. It's important to the center to assist nonprofits to build organizational practices that addresses the nonprofit leadership gap while lifting up equity, diversity, and inclusion in all nonprofits. A few housekeeping items. Today's webinar will be recorded, and a wraparound email, including the recording and resources, will be will be sent to you in the wraparound. You can please use the chat. Cherise welcomes questions, so as Rebecca and I will see them, we'll fill them out and ask her during the session if you have any, and be glad to do so. And at the near the end, of course, we'll put a post-session survey for you all to please take a few minutes to complete. We would appreciate that, and Cherise would appreciate it as well, so we can continue to improve upon what we bring you. So thanks again for joining us today. And with that, I'll turn it over to Cherise.
Hello,
And I'll figure out
everyone.
why I can't hear anybody.
Rebecca, you can still hear me? Yes. Okay, awesome. Hello, everyone. Super excited to be here with you today to talk about Am I the problem or is it AI? So let me set your expectation right up front. If you came to this presentation to learn how to use ChatGPT and push buttons and see a lot of prompts and all of that, that is not what today is about. Today is about getting into the headspace of thinking about AI from a strategic standpoint to really be able to work smarter and not harder. So for all of my people who are looking for the frenzy of it, that's not today. So I just want to set that expectation up front. All right, so let's see why my little handy dandy clicker isn't working. Okay, we'll do old school style. All right. So today we're going to just run through a couple of things. We're together for 90 minutes here. I'm going to look at what the reality is looking like right now with AI in the nonprofit sector. I'm going to talk about that false promise that I'm sure many of you are experiencing right now when it comes to AI. And then we're going to just run through some of the ways that you can truly start thinking about this from a strategic perspective. We'll tell you about something really cool between AI Consultants for Nonprofits and the North Carolina Center for Nonprofits, and then questions. Any questions you have, please feel free to ask them as we're going through this. We've already kind of been through this, so we're going to go ahead and shift. You're going to get the PDF or the slides, and if you want to know more, then here's where you can read that. So, okay, here we are. All right, and please feel free to participate in the chat. I love dialogue. This will work better if we're all just kind of here to be included in this process. This is, I don't know about you guys. I've been working in nonprofit world for over 20 years. And I always, no matter what job I'm in, always come to this point where there seems to be just so much going on all at the same time. I like to say that nonprofits run on passion. We have a passion for the missions that we serve, and that passion never turns off. And because of that, we are often very much in a very documented way open to a lot of burnout, open to a lot of overwhelm. But does our job always have to come to this? Is it always about this? So enter this new thing that we're here talking about, somewhat new, still a toddler, generative AI, still a little bit. But raise your hand, and you could raise it in the chat and say, raise your hand if you're kind of tired of thinking about AI, talking about AI, or you've gotten to the point where you want to know about it, hence why you're here today, and you're just kind of over the frenzy and the hype of it, or if it seems as if it is one more thing, just one more thing that is making your job harder than it has to be. It's just one more thing that you have to manage. If you're feeling any of that, let me know in the chat. And as you answer this first question, what is your biggest frustration with AI? And when I am saying AI today, I'm talking specifically about generative AI, which is your ChatGPTs and your Geminis and your Microsoft Copilots. That's what I'm talking about when I say AI. What is your frustration? Does anyone have a big frustration that they have with AI? Yes, Josh, these images are very much created with AI. I like to use AI when I am doing my work. So yes. Shelly says, I love AI. I'm not yet frustrated with it. Biggest frustration of people using it poorly or in lieu of doing their own work. People not properly citing it. Okay, people, biggest frustration is the fear people will forget common sense, data privacy when they use it. Dealing with the unknown. Awesome. Okay. Love those responses. Love those responses. All right. So, really want to talk through some numbers to kind of ground the reason why we're talking about this today. As I mentioned and led into this, according to the state of nonprofits, 95% of nonprofit leaders are concerned about employee burnout. And feel free to dump in the chat if you're kind of feeling the tension as well. So that is a huge number. 95% of leaders are having conversations thinking about employee burnout. A lot of organizations that we work with, this comes up a lot. This reason why we do the work that we do in positioning AI as a way to work smarter. But we see this a lot in this sector. And if you have felt this, or if you're feeling this now, feel free to let us know that. And then the Artificial Intelligence Board of America cites that 77% of employees using AI indicate that these tools have kind of made their work harder, have made it harder. And we have seen this too, because when a tool like this comes in that can generate the amount of text and information that it does, and this idea that it will free up time, we see people dumping more work into the space. And we say that it's going to make life easier, but people are already indicating that it is making their life so much harder. Have you experienced this as well? So here is that big promise. And again, Josh, generated with AI. Here is the promises that we have been hearing about, that it will save time. Those of you who say you love AI, is it actually saving you time? Let me know in the chat. All right, is it saving you time right now? We hear that AI is going to replace people. There is a sector that AI will come in and replace, like manual jobs, repetitive type of jobs. But the jobs that we're doing right now, I'm not sure that's really the case. Have you seen that in your work, that AI is replacing people? AI makes things more efficient. Is this true? Have you seen this in your work? Let me know. Let me know. How did we get here? Our work multiplied. There was this ancient history that you might remember called COVID. There was this thing that forced us to sit down and take stock of our lives. Like there was a time where collectively as a world, we were just still. And then we rolled out of that, and it seems like, let me know if it feels like this for you, that the day got more and more full of just stuff, and work just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And for organizations that made it out of COVID and were able to sustain themselves out of COVID, we see they just kept running and kept running and kept running, whether they were trying to make up for lost or whatever that case is. We see that work has multiplied. We are busier than we ever was. And it can be debatable whether we are more busy now than pre-COVID. How else did we get here? Our tech multiplied. Tech has always been running in the background. It's always been an engine, right? It's always been there. But when ChatGPT was released in 2022, it blew up. There was no prior announcement to it. It was released literally under the cover of night. And we wake up and there's this tool that everybody is kind of talking about. And you're, like, what is this thing? And it's just, it rolled out. There was no manual to it. It's just, here you go. And of course, it creates this fear and this frenzy. So we have our work multiplied. And as we're truly starting to roll out of COVID, the tech piece dumps. We didn't really catch our breath coming back to life after COVID, because there it was right there at the crux of when we were kind of getting back into our regular life. And as a result, clarity kind of disappeared. So much is happening all at once. What is this tool? What can it do? What about data? What is this unknown thing? And then you're very unclear for all of the work and all of the text and language that these tools can produce. People get on the very end of it and are completely unclear as to why. And let me know in your own experience. I'm gonna stop and read the chat in just a second, where you have went into a tool and you have asked these questions, asked a question, you prompted for something, and you got so much information dumped back that you lost your way. You were unsure of what were you even asking? Why am I even here? You've got so much data. So when work and tech increases and clarity disappears, we tend to feel a bit overwhelmed. And I'm gonna check the chat here just a minute. Oh, Josh, I tell users it takes more time at first. They need to learn. Courtney, I am creating too many data lists to manage. Awesome. Copilot is saving 2 hours. Okay. Extracting data. Okay. Emily says she trained it to give her what she wanted in a more concise response. Awesome. All great responses. Okay. So again, how do we get here? The demands on our work as a social sector. I can't tell you the many times that I have heard doing more with less, doing more with less. It seems to be the nonprofit mantra. What does that even mean? How do you do more with less? There could be ways to do that. AI could be positioned, but why is that the standard, to do more with less? What happens when we do more with less? People burn out. People are overwhelmed. Quality of work is not quite where it needs to be. So how do we get here? We have this mindset that we should do more with less. always resource constraints. No matter what nonprofit I have worked in, money, 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 money is the language. It's what is always talked about. I've never worked in a nonprofit. Let me know if you have, because you may be the unicorn on today's call. I've never worked in a nonprofit that had enough, more than enough, even. It was always just on the edge, right? Never. And so that is a stressor on the people working there. Staying relevant, always have to stay relevant. Again, we have rolling out of COVID, the hits that nonprofits took during COVID. We have the competition that comes online from other organizations that are kind of, sort of doing what we're doing, serving the same people. We're all tapping the same pool of money. And then our tech always lags behind in this sector. Have you been, and I know I have many, many, many times, where have you been on the receiving end of a for-profit getting rid of their quote unquote old computers, and then they give them to us and they become new? We are the hand-me-down sector, if you will. We see that a lot. And then there is the transparency piece. Nonprofits overall have a high trust level, but that transparency is something that we ultimately have to always protect. And then those are the ethical concerns that many of you have referenced in the chat already. So we got here in a number of different ways, from the work multiplying to the tech multiplying, and then that clarity kind of going away under all of these other things that are happening in the work and in the missions that we really love. Like, we're in nonprofit work because we love it, right? We want our work to mean something, and we value our time, and we value our passion going into something that can change the world. And at the same time, there's a cost that we're all paying for this type of work that is pretty consistent. So the question is, am I the problem, or is it AI? What do you think? Let me know in the chat. Am I the problem? Are you the problem, or is it AI? Am I the problem, or is it AI? Tell me what you think. And when you're doing that, I will scroll and see if any of you said that you are living in an abundant, resourced nonprofit. If I had a nickel for every terrible computer a business offered to donate. Oh, Josh, you're hilarious. a little of both. Are you the problem, or is it AI? It's a little of both. Okay. All right. I love it. I love it. Well, I would agree. It's probably a little of both, but I also would say it's the system. It's the system in which we are all working in. And so, because we have this system of the people, the money, the programs, funding, we're always juggling all the things. When AI comes in, and either you're an organization who is going full stop into it, or you're an organization that's kind of like, I'm going to wait and see, it still has a space in your ecosystem. Promise there are people who are using it. There may not be a policy on deck yet, but it's kind of the system at which we are in right now. So that means that if you are a part of an organization where AI has become something that you are embracing, it still becomes something that is annoying, because people are like, it's one more thing. What else do I have to do? Right? I've got people, I got programs, I've got funding. I don't have time to also learn this. So is it you, or is it AI? So for those of you who are saying it's a little of both, that will probably be true. And that is baked within the system that we are working in. Okay, so now I get to see, I think it's the next slide. Who are my movie buffs, my movie nerds? Who knows where this phrase is from? Never send a human to do a machine's job. Let me just check the chat. Who knows where that is from? Who knows? Ah, Kayla. Yay, Kayla. I don't have a prize for you, but Kayla is absolutely right. It is from The Matrix. Do you know how many times I've asked that, Kayla, and no one knows? So I feel vindicated that you actually know where it's from. Yes, it is from The Matrix. Never send a human to do a machine's job. So as we start talking about, is it me or is it AI? Let's think about what humans do well and what machines do well. In the movie The Matrix, Agent Smith is the AI, Neo is the human. They're built very, very differently. Very differently. AI is phenomenal at speed and scale and pattern recognition. It can never be a human. It doesn't have nuance. It doesn't have judgment, although they are building some that are, that are sort of kind of getting there. It doesn't have tone unless you tell it. You have to give it everything that makes it great. You have to give it to them. Give it to it, not to them. AI, though, it has a place. It is very fast. It does recognize patterns. It can translate. It's really great at formatting. Well, with a little caveat there. But it also has the ability to run 24/7 without fatigue. Humans, we are not built like that. 24/7 without fatigue. So that promise that you hear about, oh, it's going to replace our jobs. There is a sector and a type of job that, yes, it will. But the type of work that we're doing, probably not. Can you imagine AI sitting across from one of your clients if you're in human services? Can you imagine it sitting across from petting one of the animals? If that's the type of nonprofit, can you imagine AI serving food? Now, this may be 2030, 2040, 2050, but right now, can you imagine that? That is what the human does. So when we're saying never send a human to do a machine's job, that means the human and the AI have a space to come together to work collectively in order for us to do really great work. It's not either or. It's trying to determine for each one of us how the two of these things will integrate that will keep all of us safe and keep our mission moving forward. So is AI going to make it easier or more stressful? Agent Smith, if we've seen the movie Matrix, he was pretty awesome. Both of them had really great skills, the human, Neo and Agent Smith. What do you think though? Is it going to be easier for you or is it going to be more stressful? Easier or more stressful? What are you thinking? I did see someone talked about this earlier and I knew this slide was coming up, so I didn't comment on it too much. What are you thinking? Easier or more stressful? Yes. Again, Josh, yes, it's another easier as we learn how to coexist. Josh says he thinks that it's both. All right. Easier once I understand it better. Yes. Shelly. All right, you guys. I love you guys. More stressful because I have to change my workflow to incorporate it. All of the above. Yes. It's all of that. It is all of that. Is it going to be easier? It will be easier after it is more stressful. Because to Mark's point, you have to change your workflow in order to incorporate it. And then to Shelly's point, it's easier after you understand it. After you understand it, after you have changed the workflow. But to go through your workflow and then decide, oh, okay, where does AI come in this workflow? That's going to be very stressful and annoying. And people tend to not go down this path because the easier does not come immediately. Yes, we have all been, or many of us have all been inside of one of these tools. Write me an email, write me a social media post. That seems like it's ease, but it's not. It's still adding, it still becomes the picture on the right. So is it easier? It's both in all of those things. And once we kind of make peace with that, then we can move forward in terms of how do we integrate this in a more strategic way that not only supports your work, but supports the nonprofit as well. I love you guys, making it fun. Reason that we see this coming on board, I know you've heard this word. If you're in this space, capacity, capacity, capacity. This becomes important because this is how we really are determining our capacity, whether we have the capacity to take on one more thing, and if that one more thing is I don't think I have the bandwidth for it. I hear that a lot. I don't think I have the bandwidth for it. And the trick is figuring out how to have the bandwidth for it. You may not want to incorporate all the things all at once. You may just need to do a baby step into it. But once we figure out what that capacity is and how much capacity we have to learn it, it really does help set our organization up. Because everything in the organization is capacity. Every single thing. Now, first, every role is fundraising first, because we already talked about how resources is the number one thing. Every job in there is fundraising, but the nonprofit has one job, and that is to deliver the mission. And all of these things is either increasing or decreasing our capacity to be able to do that. So based on wherever you sit in the organization can determine how much of a capacity that you have or currently are experiencing in order to get work done. So if you are in the financial space and the nonprofit is under-resourced, your capacity is probably going to be much less than somebody who is, well, maybe that maybe or maybe not true. Somebody who's doing the social media or the communication, because it's all kind of working together. But usually if the organization is under resourced, the person in finance, they don't have time for nothing else, right? It's just, what is it that we're doing right now? And this is how AI can come and support this in the capacity. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of talking about the tech. It's not even tech. We're just going to talk about the tools that are out there and how they can be relevant. All right. So it's more than ChatGPT. I've said that when I talk about AI in this presentation, I'm talking about generative AI. And people are like, okay, ChatGPT. It's actually more than ChatGPT. AI, the big term, artificial intelligence, is just a simulation of us, of all the things that we do as a human. And the ability to do that with natural language, as easy as I can talk to you all right now in this presentation, is as easy as I can talk to one of these tools, and then they will simulate to me something that I have asked for. They will help me problem solve. They will try to give me some perception. They will understand my language, no matter what language that I am speaking in. It just mimics what it is that we're doing, which is the reason that makes them so incredibly powerful. Let me know. This slide is going to give you the context anyway, but I like to think of AI as this phenomenal cosmic power, the umbrella term, the phenomenal cosmic power. And ChatGPT is the itty bitty living space. Tell me in the chat where that movie reference is from. So when we're talking about AI, it's a bigger picture. But when I am speaking of it for, yay, Courtney, I wish I had prizes. When I am speaking about it, I am speaking about it from the generative AI space and the space of where ChatGPT lives. This is nothing new for those of you who have probably, oh, the Robin Williams is now in your head. For those of you who have um, done these presentations or listened to AI presentations before, this is just reminding us how AI has been in our life for a very, very long time. The phenomenal cosmic power of AI, ChatGPT, generative AI, probably not so much, but all of these things that we interact with every day has been AI. And you know what's interesting about this is that these are not thought of as AI. These are thought of as modern conveniences. Modern conveniences. Do you remember the time when we had to print out directions from the computer if you wanted to go on a trip? And now we can get that on our phones, and it knows when there's traffic, and it knows when a cop is on the side of the road. Okay, those of us who remember printing out the directions to be able to go on a cross-country trip, we can imagine doing that now. And all of the ways that our world responds to us, these are modern conveniences, not in the way it's a core memory. MapQuest, yes, it's a definitely core memory. Somebody has been watching Inside Out, maybe. So these are modern conveniences. We haven't yet thought of AI and generative AI as a modern convenience. And that is where we want to get to. So all of this, the AI trainers and all of the stuff that you're listening to is, what is this thing? We did not have rings and tons and all of this information when Alexa and Siri hit our lives, or when Facebook hit our lives, or Pinterest hit our lives. But when generative AI hit our lives, now we talk about it all the time. Okay, it's not yet a modern convenience, but it can be, and it will be very, very soon. Yes, Kayla, you use AI all the time. I always joke with my mom, who is like, I don't use AI. I don't want anything to do with it. And I'm like, okay, mom, well, let's go ahead and turn off the Netflix. Give me your phone. Let's do all these things. Let's stop with the tablet and the read and all the things, the translation of the tablet and the audiobooks and all of that. Let's just take all of that going. And so, yes, you've been using AI this whole time, Kayla. It's modern convenience. um, so large language models, most that we're going to talk about, there's tons more. This is not all inclusive at all, but large language model is what ChatGPT actually is, trained on so much data, trillions and billions amounts of data. ChatGPT is the one that currently sits at the top of this food chain. It is the one that 90% of our clients use. It is kind of that Swiss Army knife of all the things, okay, that you can do within ChatGPT. You either love it or you hate it, depending on where you sit in this world of AI and implementation. Then we see Claude, which is really popular with people who code. It quickly got the name of being more human sounding, even though I think some of these others are starting to really get it. It just had a way that it phrased things that sounded a bit more human. So that one is very, very popular. If you are a Google organization, you might use Gemini. It's connected to the Google ecosystem, which makes it really, really fun and cool to use. It's like a very powerful system at your fingertips, as well as Microsoft Copilot, also powerful system at your fingertips if you are a Microsoft 365 organization, because it's integrated into the Word and Excel and PowerPoint, and it's great. It's really great, and it's usually dubbed as the one that is the most creative out of the four. Again, this list is not all inclusive. There are many, many, many more of these, but these are the 4 that we see the most. Microsoft Copilot is actually running on the OpenAI system, just rebranded for Microsoft. They have dumped millions of dollars into their work with OpenAI. So the systems are running, it's the same kind of tech, but they do operate and they respond differently. If you ask one of them a question, the same question, you will get 4 completely different responses. So they all operate differently. Show me and let me see in the chat, which one of them do you use the most? Which one of them is the one that is your go-to? We tend to tell people to have your core, the main one, and then have a backup, because it's tech, it's not always up and running, and then you start relying on it and you're like, oh my God, I can't get through my day. What are we doing? Guys, Josh is Copilot. Emily is ChatGPT, but has been using Copilot lately. So that went by really fast. Oh, Gemini for note-taking, disturbingly amazing. I love that categorization. ChatGPT. Kayla, you haven't selected one yet. We'll consider one. I use ChatGPT for most of my my personal use. Oh, that's a good question too, Kayla. How many of you are using these tools in your actual nonprofit work? Courtney is using ChatGPT. How many of you are using it in your nonprofit work as well as your personal? I started to use one for work and then another for personal, and then I found that that was just being too much. I was just being too much at that point. Just one. Awesome. Okay, Kayla has used it to condense notes. I feed it data, ask it to format it. I use both. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, later we'll have to talk about how you use it in your personal world, because there's some really, really fun ways to use it in our personal world when we're talking about that modern convenience thing, to make it really, really interesting that I don't think we kind of think about, because it kind of becomes this thing that we're using for work. So that is cool. All right. So recently, I believe earlier this year is what I mean when I say recent, OpenAI did a survey and had come to the conclusion that there are 6 main things that these tools do. Only 6. So when we're thinking about it as this big thing, even though ChatGPT is, that itty bitty living space of generative AI, they are still big machines. Don't let the itty bitty AI please fool you. They are big and they are powerful, and I will always say, but they are not special. It's you. They don't do anything without you, in theory, because we do have ones that can be a little autonomous, but it's you, the human, who makes them special. But when you think about it, they only do 6 things overall. So let's go through what they are. Content creation, no surprise there. They're generative tools. People who are in the content creation space, your marketing people, AI always comes in the door through your marketing person, because they see it immediately as relief, and they can see immediately where this can help them work smarter. So content creation, research. Tools are phenomenal at research, especially if you're using the deep research feature. I did see one of you earlier talk about it not citing its sources. It's much better. And when I'm saying I'm talking about ChatGPT, because that's the one that I use the most as well. But much better at citing sources. Oh my gosh, a little tongue tie there. Data analysis, phenomenal at data analysis and reading patterns and understanding how to synthesize data. Oh my gosh. If you are like me and you're a creative brain more than you are an analytical brain, and spreadsheets make you itch, this will make you feel like the smartest person ever. Smartest person ever. All right, coding is the fourth thing that it does. As I said, coders really, really love Claude. I think I saw someone mention earlier talking about HTML. That is also really, really great. It does do those complex codes, but it also does simple things, as simple as coding our Google Forms or coding our Google Slides and being able to pull those up where it populates everything for you. So coding is one. Ideation is strategy. If you are a strategic brain and really love to think through your thoughts, it's amazing there. And then automation, setting up what you need and then combining it with another tool to be able to do this without you. That's what we see with the agents that are coming online, AI agents that you can train, and then they can do something that you have trained them on automatically without you. And there are other ways to do automation. So there are really six things that these tools do. So when you think of it in that context, it really kind of helps pull it down from being this big kind of scary thing to something that you can truly see you working smarter with. Okay. So these are just some of the tasks. And obviously this whole presentation could have been on what it can do, and we still would be here for days and days and days. These are just some of the tasks that we see that generative AI performs to help nonprofit leaders build their capacity. But if, hold on, kind of gave away my punchline there. But if you are doing this again without a strategy, you end up right back here, right back in the same space of kind of being under paper. And there are actually nonprofits who still very much are on paper. So this might not even be as off as it is. It was supposed to be a little overboard when created. So the question is, where do you need an assistant? Think about the work that you have right now. Where do you need an assistant? Where can, if you could hire someone, the work that you do, if you could hire someone to do the things for you, do some things for you, where would you do that? How would you do it? Who would you hire? Let me know in the chat. Awesome. I see you guys are loving Canva AI. Canva is like a sleeper AI tool. The amount of AI that is built into Canva that people do not talk about is insane. How much you can get done in Canva and how it can assist you in the creative space. All right, so where do you need an assistant? I don't see you guys popping in with that later, but right now, but feel free. So look at these six things again. Let's look at the six things again that the tools do. And then you can see where they could plug in. Okay, so Courtney says she would hire an assistant for preparing reports. Where would that fall in the spectrum of these six things? That could be content creation. It could be research even, data analysis. Emily needs narrative responses, but also with graphics. Also could be some content creation, research, data analysis, ideation, and strategy there as well. Acknowledgements and donor engagement for Kristen. Again, content creation. A bit of ideation and strategy too. Editing, policy briefs. Mark says content creation, and yes, Canva has made life easier with that. Primarily social media, copy, and graphics. So 6 things that it does. And when you think about where can you use an assistant and the things that each one of you have said, I want you, each one of these answers that you have given me, I want you to keep that in mind as we go through the next couple of slides. But again, these tools do 6 primary things to help make our lives a little easier so that we can work smarter and not harder. Okay? All right. So keep your thing in mind. Where could you use an assistant as we move through what's coming up next? All right. So determining AI suitability, determining what is right for AI and what is not. So again, we're framing this as strategic integration. Strategic integration. Keep that in mind also. When we talk about AI making our lives easier or more stressful, the stress of it comes when you are just sitting down asking things. It gives you stuff and you keep asking stuff and it's just stuff. How many of you will be willing to admit you have so many threads in your AI tool right now that you're like, yeah, it's so much stuff you will never go back and read. Just much. It's just a lot of information. How many of you will admit that that is the case? Probably have archived so much of it and you're still creating and creating and creating. That is like your browser tabs. Absolutely. Absolutely. It keeps going and going and going and going. And that's what we mean when we're talking about the tech being multiplied. But if you come out of that world and just sit in front of, okay, how can I make my life easier? If ease is what I'm going for, how do we get here? Okay. So there are 3 questions that you want to ask, and they're super, super easy. What part of this organization or job is going to remain human? What part is human and AI? And what part will be AI? Now, someone always says this when I show them this slide. No part of it is absolutely going to be 100% AI. So work with me on this part, okay? But you have to ask, what part am I comfortable delegating to AI? That could be some of the repetitive tasks that you have. I'm okay delegating note taking. I saw someone say note taking in here earlier before. I'm okay delegating to that. What parts are human only? What parts do you not ever want AI to touch? We typically see people, well, I don't want to give away the next slide, so I'll hold that. What parts are human and AI? That means how are the 2 systems working together? Remember the Agent Smith and the human. What parts are maybe humans will determine this part, and then I'll have AI come and clean up this part. Or maybe it's reverse. Maybe I'll have AI do this part, and then as the human, I will come in and do this part. So to get to how do we get it easier? How do we make it easy? You got to kind of know what part is human and AI and human only. Why? Because when you decide that something is going to be human only, we don't need to even be using AI for it. It doesn't come up. I can't remember which one of you earlier was talking about integrating it into your workflows. This is where we start to kind of break this down, okay? So it could look something like this. The finance department and donor nurturing is 100% human. AI is not going to touch that. So we're not even going to sit in front of one of these tools to talk about donor nurturing. And this means different things to different people, donor nurturing, but we're not even going to even talk about it. Human and AI, grant writing, the number one thing that people come to us for is grant writing. Okay, that can absolutely be a human and AI task. Development plan, yes, I'm all for it. What is AI going to take care of? It could be the thank you letters. It could be the event planning. It could be the predictive analysis. Now, these tools that we're talking about, generative AI tools, predictive analysis is not built into them specifically per se. However, you can run scenarios that can kind of forecast for you with AI. So you could sit down and do this as a department or an organization. So say I'm in the marketing department. I would say the human part of the marketing, it would just be copywriting. I'm going to do all my copywriting. That's going to be human. Human and AI might be the social media, and the AI piece may be the captions or the note taking. So when you start thinking about, oh, how do we work harder with this? You have to start thinking about what part is off limits, because the part that's off limits doesn't need to come into the system. And I sit down with so many organizations who say, I don't want fundraising to be a part of AI. Then why are you running your fundraising letters through it? That adds to the stress. You do not have to do anything related to AI that you do not want to do. Okay? Knowing that you don't have to do that. All right? Does this make sense? Human and AI and AI. I still want you to keep in mind that one thing that you said you needed an assistant for. Okay? As we run through what's next. Where are you spending the most time and where is the resistance? So the one thing that you probably mentioned will satisfy these two. Where are you spending the most time? Is it the reports? Is it narrative? Is it the fundraising, acknowledgement, donor engagement, policy briefs, editing? Where are you spending the most time and where is the resistance? The resistance in your work is the things that you have to do, don't want to do. We all have that. Have to do, don't want to do. Okay? Well, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Josh, we aren't allowed to send anything to a donor that hasn't been seen by human eyes. That is a phenomenal practice to have. So, that one thing that you mentioned earlier of where you need an assistant, is AI right for the job that you mentioned? Let's see. Is it a generative job? I mean, is it something from nothing? Is it written? Is all of it is language? Okay. Yes, it's a generative job. Is it a repetitive job? Something that you do all the time, no matter what, weekly, daily, whatever, is something you do all the time. Is it data driven? Someone's waiting on you to have it look exactly how you have to analyze, stats and scenario and forecast, all of that. Is it data driven? Is it complex? Several pieces that have to be around this one thing in order for you to be able to produce it. Is it predictive? We talked a little bit about that. Got to kind of forecast what's happening. Does it require a high degree of accuracy? Well, we can argue that every job requires a high degree of accuracy, but is this something that if a decimal point is off, it throws the whole system out of whack, or something that is very heavily dependent on it being correct from the beginning? It's not like a typo kind of thing that we can go back and fix. It's important that it's correct from the beginning. And then my favorite of the 7, is it soul sucking? Is it the thing that the resistance is built around? Is it the thing that keeps going down your to-do list over and over and over? Is it the thing that if you would just spend 5 minutes on it, you could get it done, but it's been on the to-do list for a week because you really don't want to do it for whatever reason? So think about the one thing that you told me that you would use an assistant for and run it through this lens. You do not have to hit all 7 of them. Don't have to hit all 7 of them. But the one thing that you told me about earlier, let me know in the chat. Is this something that AI is suitable for? Because again, we're talking about working smarter. We're talking about not having stress if we don't need it. Sometimes we are doing the thing that we don't need to use AI for, we're using it for. And then that makes it stressful because it's not something that AI is good at and or needs to be used for in the context of how you're doing your work. So think about that thing and let me know. Does it pass this suitability test right here? Is it generative, repetitive data, all the things? And would AI be the best use case? Would this be a use case for AI? Let me know. Okay. Then we're going to talk about everyone's favorite thing, which is the ethical use of AI. We can never have an AI presentation without talking about the ethics. Always have to talk about the ethics. Should the answer be yes to those questions? Primarily, they're basically set up as yes or no questions. Let me go back. Yeah, it's primarily set up as yes or no. Shelly, thank you for being here. You will get the slides in the recording, I believe. So thanks so much for hanging out with us. All right. Ethical use. Let's go through it. Thank you, Shelly. I appreciate that. Okay, responsible use. Can we agree in the chat? Can we put our hands up to our computer screens and just say responsible use is non-negotiable? Responsible use is non-negotiable. Until we get to the point where this becomes a part of our modern lives, modern conveniences, can we say we are going to be responsible? Okay? Because we don't know what we don't know with some of us. We don't know what we don't know. Okay? So let's talk through it. This first slide in talking about responsible use of AI. This first slide, we can argue, is the thing that people are giving our organizations money for. This is what people reward grants for. This is why people donate. Your legal compliance, your public trust, your reputation. This is the thing to protect at all costs. This is the thing. Whether AI existed or not, this is the thing. Okay? Because we can argue that once the public trust and your reputation is gone, it will be hard to build that back. It's going to be hard to build that back. If there's any kind of scandal related to the nonprofit, it's going to be hard to build it back. Not saying it could never be, it could never come back. We have seen some amazing times in our history. We're living through amazing times. Not saying ever, but why would you risk it? This is the stuff that people are getting paid for. This is why people support you. This is why people volunteer. This is why people talk about you. This is why people get your services. This is it. Okay? Protect. Now we're going to talk about, in the context of AI, what does that mean to protect it? All right. Again, we've got our hands raised of what we will and won't do in these systems. All right. Data, privacy, and security. This is one that comes up all the time. We are very, very, very clear. Privacy and security. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know where the data is going. We know, as far as ChatGPT is concerned, whatever we put in it, even if we delete it, it does not go away. So when we're thinking about using this for our work, this is why an AI policy becomes non-negotiable if there are people in the organization, even if they're not. An AI policy is non-negotiable because it will outline the data privacy and security. It's going to talk about what do we put in the systems versus what don't we put in the systems. We protect our organization understanding what algorithmic bias and equity actually looks like. Humans train these machines. Bias are a part of who we are. It's in the machines. It's up to us, being a part of the social sector, to be able to mitigate that. The misinformation and inaccuracy, some of you talked about the sources being cited. They don't always have the correct answer. when they give you an answer, it may not always be correct. If you ask a question, if it hasn't seen a direct answer to that question, it is going to make it up and it's going to sound really, really good. So misinformation and inaccuracy, we're already seeing people lose their jobs around misinformation and inaccuracy coming out of these systems. Transparency and accountability. How are we using them in our nonprofit? Every nonprofit has a different risk tolerance. Every person has a different risk tolerance. You have to determine as the nonprofit, are you going to disclose when AI is being used? Are you going to be held accountable as AI is going to be used? What does it look like? The governance gaps, the governance of the data. And let me say this, because people tend to defer to the tool in order to protect you. The tool is not designed to protect you. The human has to protect itself and the organization. The tool is the tool. It's up to us to determine how to use it safely. So it's not up to the tool to protect you, though there are things that each one of the tools need to have in its most basic form, but it's up to us as the human to protect ourselves and our organizations. So how is the data governed? How is the data governed in your organization? If the data is messy right now, all AI is going to do is amplify that. So if you do not have a strong data governance policy around retention, who has access to it, AI just comes in and amplifies all of that. So you have to know, where are those gaps and how can you fill them as a human? Because AI is just going to be on top of that and it's going to make it worse. The environmental impact. Some organizations, simply because they are environmental organizations, cannot and will not ever use these tools because of the amount of water that it takes every time we submit a simple question. Can you run an AI program if it's completely antithetical to what your organization supports? Things that you have to think about, because if you do and something goes wrong, you're back to the reputation piece. Informed consent, if you're using these tools where you're using them in human services, people should have the ability to opt out of that. And then who are the vendors that you're using? Who are the tools that you're using? What are the terms of service? We're not in a space anymore where we can click the terms of service and say that we read them and we really didn't, because we don't know what we have just agreed to in terms of the most basic things. Is it encrypted? Where is the data going? Who has access to the data? What happens to the data if I am no longer using this tool? We have to read the terms of service. We may get 10 years down the road and realize that we have done too much. We didn't need to do all of this, but we don't know. We won't know that until 10 years down the road. So be safe. Is there a way to get good data on sustainable use of AI? I struggle to get good use of this. Josh, give me a little bit more context. On misinformation and inaccuracy, my lack of faith in humanity is likely the reason for my lack of faith in AI. I mean, Mark, that's probably probably a good stance to take. I always say, and especially when we're talking about how to use these tools, if it's not in the public domain, if I can't go to Google right now and find it, then I want to have pause in the way that I use it. But to Mark's point of misinformation and inaccuracy, there are ways to protect ourselves and our organizations around that. There are other tools that are much more accurate, that always cite their sources. One of them is a generative AI tool. It's called Perplexity. If you're doing any kind of research and need sources to be cited, I would go there versus like a ChatGPT. But I wouldn't necessarily have faith in the tool. I would have faith in myself as the human using the tool and to do my due diligence to be able to back up anything that I use out of it. Josh, I know it uses more energy, but how much actually more is being used with a Copilot service versus Googling. Consider how much is already built into the back end. That is a really good, and it might not be, I don't have an answer for that, but I am going to tell you to go to the source and ask that question. And ask that question in a deep research context, or ask it of Perplexity, and it will tell you. It'll tell you, and have it cited sources because it knows. It knows. I'm gonna send you to the source and do it in a deep research way. Kayla, we've had an issue when trying to determine if a scientific journal was peer reviewed. We've had 2 volunteers using different generative, hold on, I kind of lost it, Kayla. Different generators, and they received different answers. We ended up reaching out to the journal directly due to the conflicting information. Again, use deep research. Use deep research. And this is an example, Mark, who talked about misinformation. This is what I mean by being the human to do the due diligence. She got 2 different answers. I don't know which one of them is correct. I'm not going to rely on this to be correct. So I'm going to do my due diligence as a human. And then also, Kayla, depending on which version that you got, you could also, as I said to Josh, do it in deep research mode and go to Perplexity and see if you can find it, which really, truly is the research giant of them all that doesn't get the kind of attention that it needs, where it will cite the source, it will link it to the source, and it will show all the things that it's pulled from, and it's done that long before any of the other tools ever have. Okay. Donor perspectives. This was a study that was done in 2024 by 2 fabulous humans that I have had the pleasure of working with. This is what are the top donor concerns around AI. We saw privacy and security and human touch rank really high, and job displacements. So donors are very much aware of AI and aware of AI in the nonprofit sector. And these are the top 3 things that they are concerned about. Top 3 things that they're concerned about with AI. So do not ever relinquish. People have always asked, they feel like that AI is going to take over our humanity. We are the human. AI does not take over our humanity unless we relinquish it. We have to relinquish it in order for the machine to take over what we do as humans. So the due diligence becomes important if you want to protect your public trust, your reputation. Kayla just gave you a fabulous example of not doing anything with that data because she could not prove it. And imagine if she forged ahead and it was incorrect. We have to do that. It's not the machine that's doing it. It is a tool like anything else. The same as you use your Canva, the same as you use Alexa. It's a tool until it becomes a process, until it becomes a system. Well, a tool until it becomes a system, until it becomes a process. And here is Alexa, you guys. My Alexa is responding to me. Oh my gosh. Alexa. Oh my God, you guys, my Alexa is responding to me.
I love this. So funny. So funny, Charisse. Real time. We need to come up with another name, a code name for her.
No. Ron just says you turned on my Alexa too. Oh my gosh, you can't make this stuff up. It's so funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, this will be a hilarious playback for sure. Okay. You guys, want to tell you about a case study, nonprofits who had to do this work. She who shall not be named works in our home. I love it. Who had to do the work, who Mark talked about the workflow, and they were on their 3rd administrative assistant who was burning out, and it kind of becomes what's happening in the organization, and sitting down and doing the time audit. Where is your time going to? and how can we help you keep this job? And by the time we came in, she was very much kind of like, I am not keeping this job, very much working late into the night, which so many of us do. But it was getting to the point where she was sitting in a lot of meetings and just spinning and couldn't get her work done. And so we came in, we did the readiness assessment, we did the time audit, we figured out where she was spending the bulk of her time, and then set up the workflow with Claude and ChatGPT, connected it to Zapier so that we could put some automation in. Remember those 6 things that it does. And then at last count, we probably need to check in with them because this is old. At last count, they were saving about $75K annually in the amount of time that she was able to reclaim. And here's the part that's interesting. She was not making $75K. This was the amount of time that she was spending off hours to be able to get the work done. I think, if I remember correctly, that her pay was raised, but I do not think that it was raised to $75K. But we were able to see that there was a lot that was happening there that she could save. Okay, so I've talked to you about a lot of things today, lots and lots, even that tool that shall not be named has talked to you today. And so how do we get to smarter and not harder? As I said before, this isn't about the tools, it's about the strategy that goes into this. And I want to tell you about a really cool way that you can be able to do that. So our organization that you heard about in the intro launched this AI certification for nonprofit leaders about 2 years ago, maybe even 3, just updated for the presentation today. We went through and kind of redid some things to give you a system in terms of how to do this work. Now, for me, this came about, I don't think I gave you my story, watching the time here. At the time, I was working at a nonprofit organization. I am a marketing person by trade. It's the work that I love to do so much. And a new leader came in and basically said that we cannot pay a full-time marketing person. I need you to write grants. And I had never written grants before. And at the time, ChatGPT had just been released. I had never used it. And in a moment trying to save my sanity and save my job, I went into ChatGPT, the very first version of it, nowhere near what it is right now, and asked it, could it write a grant? And what came back was a light bulb. I used ChatGPT for several more months in secret as my secret weapon. I do not recommend that any of you do this, but it is how I started. At the time, and there were times where I had 18 grants on my desk, I was drowning. I was not only drowning in the work, I was drowning in my own insecurity from a thing that I had never done before, and resources that the organization desperately needed that was counting on me to be able to do this. At the time, ChatGPT became my lifeline. And then when I left that organization, I realized that I had something that I could assist other organizations with, and I started to build this thing out. Now, I am a strategist also by trade. I love, love, love to think big picture. So as we started to build this out, we thought, okay, what is it that we're actually doing when we go into organizations to do this work? And that is what this certification is all about. It is our process. This is the process that AI Consultants uses to go and do this work for nonprofit leaders. So it is 4 phases here. So you're first going to establish authority, which I'll go ahead and walk through them right now. We're going the wrong way here. Establishing authority is allowing you to see what's the nonprofit reality check right now. We have something that adopted that we call the AI adoption model that shows you where you are in the process of adopting AI. And we have seen the invention of a new title, a Chief AI Officer. So we're going to talk you through what that mindset looks like. So when we're talking about a certification, it's not necessarily a certification on how to use ChatGPT. It is a certification on how to think like we as consultants think. So you become the person that whenever AI comes up in the organization, they know that Josh is that person or Kayla is that person, because she's thinking from the organizational space, not from an individual or a department space. So we work with you to establish the authority first. What's happening in the nonprofit space? How do you determine where you are in this adoption model, where you stand in it? And then how do we start thinking like a chief AI officer, becoming that translator between the systems and the people who have to work in it? Then we move into the structure. We still want to do some structure before we move into the tools, because AI without guardrails, as we have seen, can be very, very stressful. Again, to Mark's point, I got to integrate it into my workflow. It's not something I'm looking forward to doing. So what is a readiness assessment? Again, we're thinking about organizational wide. Is the organization ready? Excuse me. Is the data in good way? Is the culture good? Is the tech good? You assess that, and then we come in with an integration system. And you guys, when I tell you this integration system is like 100 pages, it's all the things that we do as a consultant, all the things that we do. And then what are those policies and guardrails that you need to have in place? Then we move into the practical application, because this is everyone's favorite point. How do you think about it strategically? So how would you prompt? We could do a whole certification on just prompting. This is how do we get to a basic way of doing it, but it's still a very, the output is still good. So anything that I do is how can we make life easier? Because I've been in the space that you're in. And then there's a nonprofit prompt library. I think there's about 200 prompts that we will give you in this prompt library for nonprofits. How do you think about AI in the fundraising grant writing space? How do you think about it in marketing? How do you think about it in building capacity? Walking you through what an org chart looks like. How does AI come in to increase the capacity without losing the human capital that is already there? And then it is the strategy and impact, the strategic planning. How do you strategic plan with AI? What are the different strategic planning models that you could use? It might not always be a SWOT analysis. The AI with the mission playbook. How does all of these things work together in a playbook? And then it's a capstone in which you take everything that you have learned, and then you do a AI integration system for a composite nonprofit that we built within the system. So it is a very, very robust certification. And we use some of our favorite content creators as well that will walk you through ChatGPT, walk you through Claude, Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. We use the people who are already on the ground doing that work to walk you through what it looks like, as well as some other tools that you can use as well. So we are super excited to be in partnership with the North Carolina Center for Nonprofits. Love them. Super excited. We've been behind the scenes working on this for a couple months, and this webinar that you're watching right now is the launch of that. So because you are partners, or if you are partners with the Center for Nonprofits, we have a special offer for you. Our certification is normally $14.95, but anybody that is a member of the North Carolina Center for Nonprofits who is doing amazing work and usually sit at the intersection of all education and what it is that nonprofits need and what they need to know, we are doing it at a price of $450. And Rebecca and Lisa can lead you to how to get this offer. Very easy and straightforward. But it is, if you are in a nonprofit and want to be known as the go-to person for AI, we built this for you. We are taking what's in our head, our proprietary information, and we are giving it to you so you can think about working smarter. I know that a system that when you use AI within a system, it is so much easier to do. And when you can think about it from the organization and how to implement it from the organization, it helps everybody. not just us sitting at our desks to be able to do that. All right, Q&A. Courtney has asked, how long does it take for certification? It's a self-study, so it can take as long as you need to actually go through it. It's also open AI too. It's open AI, which we're expecting you to use AI. So I've had someone go through it as little as 4 days. And I have had people to take a couple months to do it. It really depends on you. I have said, because it's open AI, if you go to the capstone, because you get it all at once, it's not dripped out. If you can go to the capstone and do it, and your current knowledge is done, I would encourage you to do that. But there's this, and you have this information to always refer back to. But it can, I've seen people do it in as little as 5 days and up to a couple months, but it is self-study. Self-study. We have 7 minutes. You guys have been so delightful, and I'm so, you just made this time go by with all of your questions and all of your popping in. Let me know anything you have questions about, not about the certification specifically, but anything that you have questions about. What can I answer for you as we wind down?
Need to come off mute.
Okay.
You can hear me now, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Great. We'll wait a few more minutes.
Okay. Can you hear me? Oh, you can hear me now too, right, Lisa?
Yeah.
Okay. And we won't talk about the other person in the room or machine in the room that shall be nameless.
Yeah.
I have never had that happen, but that was really delightful.
Well,
Kayla,
thank you.
of course, Kayla, thank you for being here. Thank you for participating. I hope you got some value out of it.
So Rebecca's dropping in the, I think she already dropped in the link that I saw for you all to quickly go if you'd like to register for the course, as well as if you'd like to become a member as well, you'll be able to find the information on our website as well, which is Be Advantageous. Also for those of you that are not familiar, our conference, statewide conference, is coming up in about a week or so, the 19th and 20th. Our early bird specials are still going on, so if you want to take advantage of that as well as a member, please feel free to go to our website and review that as well. It'd be great to see some of you there. Rebecca's putting in the links as we speak. Sharice, I want to thank you again. This was really great information. We'll keep an eye on the certification courses. I'm hopeful that some people on our staff will take it as well, so we're looking forward to it. Thank you, Rebecca, for helping us behind the scenes. And again, please be on the lookout for the wraparound email with the recording. And we'll see you next time. You guys have a great, I guess, weekend at this point.
Yes. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Oh, and don't forget our evaluation link. I think, Rebecca, did you already drop that in?
It'll pop up when they close out.
Okay.
And it'll also be included in the wraparound email. Yep.
Please give us some feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, we love your feedback. Thank you. Thanks, Therese.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Take care.
All right.